श्रीवत्सवंशकलशोदधिकौस्तुभस्य श्रीवासराघवगुरोस्तनयं ततश्च विद्या अवाप्य विबुधोत्तमतां दधानं कुर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूढ्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि. Namaste. In the previous class, we were seeing about three aspects of Navadaha Bhakti. We saw about Shravanam, Kirtanam and Smaranam. Listening, reciting and contemplating. These are the things that we saw about in the previous lecture. Ideally, we should be proceeding with the next. That is, we have 6 more. But because I have been asked by certain people, I thought it would be better to slightly go away from the topic and cover about pramanas one more time. When we say that bhakti should be shown only in specific ways, we discussed this last time. There was a passing mention, if I'm not wrong. There are 9 types, but how do you show each of the 9 types? Can I listen to anything I like and then call it bhakti? Oh, I like him so much, therefore I listen to this. Can I sing anything that I like and then say, this is also bhakti? How should it be? It is a very important question. As a simple example, let us consider Vinayaka Chaturthi. In Mumbai, there is a great celebration with pomp and joy. But when they celebrate, we can notice certain things. What do they do? The entire public does not celebrate in the same way. In temples, there would be rituals going on. In societies, there would be smaller rituals going on. Then, when the day comes to carry in procession, that is when we see a lot of people playing inappropriate music and dancing to it. What are they really doing? What they are really doing? Once in a while, they might praise or pray. But what we see many people in the crowd doing is an inappropriate thing. They sing songs that please themselves and they dance to the tune, enjoying the moment. Bhakti is not some mental feel-good solution. It will make you feel good, yes, but its purpose is not just to give you some mental happiness or peace. You can go dance even outside. You can go dance in hundreds of places. But when you are singing or dancing, let us say, take Kirtanam itself, whatever is being sung, who is it being done for? That is extremely important. So in the context of bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnoho, that is how the shloka was. We saw it in the previous class. So we should listen about Vishnu we should sing about Vishnu, we should do smarana of Vishnu. That is how bhakti can be shown to Vishnu. So if we want to show bhakti to Vishnu, we should listen about Vishnu. Can you listen to anything and everything about Vishnu? No. We saw in the previous lecture what could be listened. Why did we list it? Is it not very obvious? No, it is not necessarily obvious. For example, if there are people who are insulting Vishnu, if there are people who are speaking ill of Vishnu, if there are people who are speaking lies about Vishnu, should we do Shravana of that? No. So Shravana doesn't just mean listening. In this context, we are talking about the context of bhakti. So Shravana is here listening with the feeling of bhakti, with the feeling of devotion. And when you listen with the feeling of devotion, you will not want to hear lies. You will not want to hear insults. So there are people, for example, who debate. Let us say two people are debating. One person says Vishnu was so evil, he was this, he was that. You know, Hiranyakashipu was a very innocent guy. His brother was killed. That is why he took revenge. Ravana was a very good guy. But still, his kingdom was invaded. His sister's nose was cut. So many injustices have been done by Vishnu whenever he came to earth. It is possible for a person to say these things in an argument. And it might even sound fun to listen to it. Oh, one person is insulting the other. Let us see how creative this person is. And the other person is responding. Let us see how that person is responding. It might feel fun or even very interesting to listen to those things. But are those things really going to help us? No. Do they count as bhakti? No, they do not. Okay, you are saying Shravanam Vishnu. Can I listen to Mahabharata? Yes, you can listen to Mahabharata, but listen to those portions that instill a sense of devotion in Vishnu. If you are not able to get a sense of devotion towards Vishnu by listening to it, there is no point in listening. And this may vary from person to person. There are people who see Bhagavan in everything, in anything and everything. They see him, they see his Leela. Therefore, they experience him. No matter what they read or what they listen to or what they think about, they will get the feeling of devotion. That is a great thing. But everybody is not saintly. What about the others? Let me open Mahabharata. Mahabharata talks about the greatness of Vishnu. Yes. Vishnu is there as Krishna, and it is explaining in the best possible way. And whatever is there inside, we say, is everything. There is nothing outside. But that being said, does it imply that anybody reading or even listening to Mahabharata would count as bhakti? This is an important question. Listening to it is a good thing because you get to learn so many good things. So listening is good because you get to learn good things. If you listen to those portions that do not instill bhakti in you, these portions might vary from person to person. Certain people might like only Bhagavad Gita. Certain people might like only the parts where Krishna was born and so on, or those small parts. Certain people might like only the part where he does certain leelas. But if there are parts that are neither, there would be parts that are neither. There would be parts where people are arguing with each other. There would be parts where evil people are scheming with each other. That is also part of scripture. Does it mean that we can listen to it and call it as bhakti. That is a very important thing to think about. Why? Because it is scripture. The scripture has come from Veda Vyasa. It is 100% authentic. Learning it is very much recommended. We do not say that if you learn it, you will end up fighting in the house. That is not what we say. That is some superstition that came from somewhere we don't know where. But what we do say is that when you are going through it, you should go through it with the feeling of bhakti, or you should go through those parts that give you bhakti. So when traditional people give upanyasas, pravachanas, they always take it in that direction. They try to ensure that no matter what they are saying, somehow or the other, this feeling of devotion comes in. The context is also moved in that way. And it is very important to do that because that is the real purpose of Mahabharata as well. Mahabharata also exists only to teach concepts like bhakti. It does not exist to teach us concepts like, these are the devastras. This is how an astra works. This is how Pashupatastra works. This is how Nivata Kavachas were fighting. That is not the purpose of Mahabharata. Yes, Nivata Kavachas are mentioned. The boon they got is mentioned. The fight that was had with them is mentioned. The use of Pashupatastra is mentioned. What happened when Pashupatastra was used was also mentioned. But if we think of that story as a way by which Bhagavan is establishing dharma, or a way by which Bhagavan is helping somebody, helping the good, destroying evil, something like that, there is no problem. If we get unnecessarily interested in these details, thinking, oh, this is so nice, this is such a nice fantasy story, it is so nice to imagine how this war would have been, like in my mind, imagining with some 3D graphics and so on. That is not bhakti. So when you say Shravanam Vishnu, maybe I'm listening to some war that was fought by Vishnu himself. Even there, even inside the point of listening, if I am not focusing on what is necessary, if I am not focusing on what is necessary, it would not count as bhakti. I am listening to Vishnu fighting. Yet, if there is no sense of devotion getting invoked in me, it means it is not bhakti. As simple as that. Should I go and do that? That is an important question. We say it is not wrong to learn even those parts where Bhagavan is not mentioned. But those should be learned with a good purpose. You learn it so that you improve in life. You learn it so that you stay cautious of the evil people. You learn it so that you know how to deal and handle situations better. You learn it so that you are able to do all of these, which in turn would help you to use your time properly in devotion towards Bhagavan. That is the aim. So the ultimate aim, no matter where you go, the ultimate aim should be devotion. When you are void of that, it is going to be purposeless. So any kind of information, how many types of divine arrows were there with Arjuna that were used in the war? How many types did Karna have? Those kinds of questions, they are not going to help me. Will they ever help me to get bhakti? They will not. As a matter of fact, if we start thinking about when Bhagavan was born, when somebody was born, when exactly did this happen? You ask five people, they will give you five different dates, but will finding out any of that give you bhakti? If you go into it in an extremely intellectual way, you will lose bhakti. We are not saying that there is no intellectual learning, but the intellectual learning should be obtained and intellect should be used only to develop bhakti. So be it Shravanam, be it Kirtanam, be it Smaranam, be it any other type that is being done. If I'm doing Archana mechanically without having a feeling of bhakti, what is the point? It once happened. I was reciting Ramayana, Ayodhya Kanda. We were all doing Parayana. Each person was given one Kanda and I was given Ayodhya Kanda to recite. I was reciting. To my venerable Acharya, for me it was the first time reciting an entire Kanda at once. So my venerable Acharya came and asked after some time, how many shlokas have you recited so far? Where exactly are you? I told him I am in such and such a sarga, such and such a shloka. So then he asked me, what is it that last happened? I said, I don't know. I have been reciting. And he scolded. He said, the purpose of recitation might be many, but for you, as the person who is reciting it, you should recite in such a way that you grasp the meaning and then experience the meaning. So when I recite, it is very easy to recite, right? I can recite very fast also if I'm good at Sanskrit. But as a devotee, there should be something more that is done. What is that? I should try to understand and I should try to experience. So when there is Shravana, we mentioned it in the previous class. You not only listen, but try to understand what is happening, learn valuable insights and teachings. Of course, you can incorporate them in your life and future, but you experience the divinity of Bhagavan through it. That should be the aim. When anything is done with this as the aim, we can say there is devotion. When things are done without this, we cannot call it devotion. There might still be phala. Even a non-devotee, if he does kirtana of Vishnu, Nama Sankirtana could be done by anybody. Somebody who does not believe in Vishnu happens to listen to a kirtana, which is so beautiful. He gets mesmerized by the song. He thinks, let me also sing. And he starts singing. He does not have any bhakti. Are we saying that he will not get any phala? No, we are saying he will get phala. What phala? He will get punya phala. He will get punya. He will get good karma for reciting and singing, even though he is not a devotee. Then what is the problem? Why should I even have devotion? If I have devotion, I get good result. If I don't have devotion, then also I get result. What is the difference? The difference is that the result that you get with devotion is unmatched. You get benefits that are worldly as well as benefits that are spiritual. That is not something that you would get if you recite without the feeling of devotion. If you recite without devotion, you will get worldly benefits, and that's it. By worldly benefit, I am referring to punya karma phala, and that is it. There is nothing gaining something more than that. So there is a difference between getting punya and going closer towards Bhagavan. That is very important. Also, phalas work at three levels we discussed in the previous class: thoughts, words, and actions. So, in words alone, if I am reciting, but in my thoughts they are not there, then I will get phala only for that recitation through words. But as I am reciting, in my thoughts also, if there are sattvic thoughts, in fact, if there are thoughts of devotion, I would get extra benefit. And then when I inculcate whatever has been heard and understood and practice it, there would be a third benefit. So the devotee stands to gain more in quantity. The devotee gets more punya and also gets a level of spiritual benefit of getting closer towards Bhagavan. The non-devotee, on the other hand, gets lesser amount of punya and does not get to go closer towards Bhagavan when compared to the devotee. It is a very, very tiny step, right? If I take one step towards a city, that is one step. If I take 100 steps, there is a big difference between the two. So we should understand the benefits of devotion. One, you get more worldly benefit. Second, you get spiritual benefit also. That is why we say do it with devotion. So whatever we do, we should try to do it with greater devotion. It is not wrong to not know the meaning when reciting in Sanskrit. If I'm singing in Sanskrit, as I'm speaking, I'm not sure if you can hear the background. There is some puja going on in a nearby temple. So they are singing. When you sing with the bhakti bhava, you get the benefit to such an extent that even if you recite incorrectly, it will be forgiven. But when you do not do it that way, when you miss the fragment of bhakti, then what? Then accuracy and other things will also start mattering. Does it mean that if I have bhakti, I don't have to think about accuracy? Does it mean that if I have bhakti, I don't have to try to understand perfectly? I don't have to try to listen fully to the scripture? No, it does not. As a matter of fact, bhakti should make you to do it more and more. The bhakta will want to listen more and more. The bhakta will want to sing more and more. The bhakta will want to contemplate more and more. That is what is evoked by the sense of bhakti. So, the devotee would want to be accurate. If the devotee is not accurate, he might be forgiven. But does it mean you need not be accurate? No, you should try to be accurate. Let us say the devotee is reciting perfectly. Should the devotee learn the meanings? Well, you should have the desire to learn the meanings. You recite Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. Okay, what does Vishwam mean? What does Vishnu mean? What does Vashatkara mean? What does Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu mean? That question, trying to find out. It is okay if you do not know fully, but because I am reciting and I recite it, if I have a desire to learn the meaning, that is a good sign. If I don't have a desire to learn the meaning, it is not necessarily a bad sign. If I'm so engrossed in visualizing Bhagavan and just thinking about Bhagavan that although I'm reciting the names, I'm not going behind the meanings of names, but I'm still experiencing Bhagavan. That is still fine. So what matters is the experience. That is the core in bhakti. Without that experience, whatever you do will be useless. You prove 100 things outside, they are not going to be useful. You master all the scriptures, not useful. So, even the person who masters all the Vedas, if the person does not understand this essence, all that knowledge is going to be useless. That is the real teaching. That is how we should understand even the verses of Bhagavad Gita. We should not think Vedas are useless. Learning the Vedas does not lead you anywhere. That is not what Bhagavan ever said. Bhagavan said, learning the Vedas and missing the essence makes it useless. You should learn the essence. The essence is important. That is at the core of bhakti. So now let us try to understand how some pramanas are going to affect bhakti and even our own understanding. We have discussed about pramanas in great detail before. We have said that in Vishishtadvaitha, there are three types. One is direct inference. You directly look at something and you infer from there. The second is logical reasoning. The third is the use of authentic records. When there is a direct experimentation that you do, you perform some experiment, you go outside, you see, whatever you see, you take in. That is inference. That direct inference is called pratyaksha. When you reason logically and arrive at certain conclusions, that reasoning is called anuman. And when you refer to the authentic scriptures to understand what things are there, that will count as Shabda Pramana or Shastra Pramana, whatever. But here we should understand the scope. Where is each of them supreme? Where can it be contested? Can it be contested at all? What I'm seeing right in front of my eyes, can it be contested? Maybe if I'm hallucinating, it can be contested. How do I know if I'm hallucinating or not? For that, I should find out the consensus. Suppose there are 100 people. 100 people are seeing the same thing. Maybe it is not a hallucination. But if one person alone is seeing, we are certain that it is a hallucination, right? Not 100% certain, but the probability is very high. Let us say 99.9%. In this way, when I look at something and I see, should I believe in it? Ideally, I should. That is how we work all the time. But there are cases where it is supreme. As an example, if you know that fire is of the nature of burning human skin, humans are made of flesh and bones. Fire has the nature to burn human flesh. Fire is hot. How do you know it? There are many ways to know it. You can touch fire and find out, or you can feel the heat of fire, or you can believe in whatever your elders are saying. Let us say that you somehow learned that the fire is hot. It is a well known fact, and it follows from the definition of fire that the fire is hot. Now, if we are going to go ahead and read something where it says the fire is cold, there is a cold fire, there is a cold flame, we should think, could there ever be a cold flame? If a cold flame could be logically proven by the scientists, or if we have felt it before, then we can say, yes, it is cold flame. Or maybe it looks like flame, it is cold. I could call it cold flame. Maybe it is not the exact same as the hot one, but there is something similar. If I am seeing it in the scripture, can I take it or should I not take it? There is a simple way out. You understand that the fire that you know cannot be cold, and therefore the fire that is mentioned in scripture as being cold is a different fire. So whatever you know remains the same. Whatever scripture said remains the same. So by pratyaksha, I know that fire is hot. I have touched it in my childhood and I have felt the heat. I almost burned, my hand, my finger almost burned. So I know it to be hot. When I know it to be hot, can I question? I don't have to question. I know it to be hot. Here it says it is cold. Why should I believe in it? No, don't ask that. If it says it is cold, it is talking about a different fire. That is how we should understand it. So, pratyaksha even when it is fully accepted, it is not contesting the scripture. Likewise, there is a case where pratyaksha could be contested when I'm seeing an illusion, when I'm seeing a mirage, let us say. I'm in a desert and I'm seeing a mirage. I think there is water, but there is no water. So pratyaksha could also be contested. What about Anuman? But before that, what about pratyaksha in the context of bhakti? In the context of bhakti, we saw about two different cases. One is where you directly see Bhagavan. The other is where you feel something that is similar in the sense that there is darshana samanakara and there is darshana sakshatkara, right? So there are ways by which you can actually see Bhagavan. If he really comes in front of you, you will see him. But there are cases where he is not coming in front of you, but you are having that feeling. It works, right? Both of them are there. So, which one of those is taken as pratyaksha? Naturally, a person might say, if he really comes in front of me, that is only pratyaksha. If I think he is there, it is not pratyaksha. But as we asked in one of those previous classes, how do you know which one is pratyaksha and which one is not? You are seeing him in front of you. You are experiencing his presence. How do you know when you are having an experience whether he is real or not? If there is no way to tell, you could very well take it as him actually coming in front of you. You don't have to be neutral. You don't have to keep on thinking, oh, I have seen him. Is it really him or is it an illusion? He is standing right in front of me. Is it really him or is it an illusion? Is it really him or is it an illusion? If you think that way, the bhakti that you have for him will also disappear. So you should not think that way. If you see him in front of you, you should take it as him having come in front of you. You can 100% believe in pratyaksha there. Let us now move on to Anuman. So remember, if you hear, you can, if you see, you can very well take it to be a reality. But when is it possible? Is there a case where I think I'm seeing Bhagavan, but I'm still wrong? Yes, there could be such cases where, for example, I have heard bits and pieces about Bhagavan. I have not understood properly about him. I have started imagining, and out of my imagination, I created some fanciful version of him where he is speaking or doing things that are absolutely not mentioned in the Vedas or the Vedic scriptures as qualities of Bhagavan. If I am seeing him do something that is not his nature as taught by scripture, it means I am hallucinating. He will always do things as per scripture only. Either I am hallucinating or I am misunderstanding the situation. Assuming that I am not misunderstanding the situation, if I see him doing something wrong, something perverted, or something evil, something wicked, I will know immediately that this is my imagination. I am so evil that I am imagining him this way. He is never ever of this kind, therefore my imagination is fake. So here, Pratyaksha gets contested by Shabda Praman. Shabda says Bhagavan is kind. He has no bad quality. He has only auspicious qualities. If whatever I am seeing is opposite of that, I cannot question the pramana. I will accept the existing pramana in the Shastras and I will question myself. I will question the pratyaksha. What about the case of Anumana? Where is it operational and where is it non-operational? This is a very important question. A lot of people fail to understand this. People think it is applicable everywhere, but they do not understand the scope properly. Logical reasoning depends on existing information for survival. That existing information itself should come from either pratyaksha, anumana, or shabda. Now, this information, if it is coming from shabda, where does that come from? That came directly from Bhagavan. We cannot question it. Forget it. If it came from anumana, where did that anumana come from? Again, pratyaksha, anumana, shabda. On something it would have been built. Again, you discard shabda. You have pratyaksha, anumana. Ultimately, you will find out that all anumana is actually based on pratyaksha. We have discussed this part before. But now, when anumana is built on pratyaksha, it means anumana is operational only where pratyaksha jnana exists. Where it doesn't exist, where pratyaksha jnana does not operate, anumana cannot operate. Let us give a simple example. If you say the human being today has a lifespan of about 100 years, I don't know the exact lifespan that they say, maybe they say 80, 85, whatever. Let us assume that the human being, the average human being, has a lifespan of 100 years. Today, this is pratyaksha jnana. Can this pratyaksha operate today for a tortoise? Can it operate today for a dog? Can it operate today in Devaloka? It cannot operate. So, when I do Vastu Paricheda, when I change the entity in consideration, there is a difference. If I change the place, a person who is living in such and such a place might have a great lifespan. A person living in an extremely polluted, extremely dirty, extremely horrible environment might not have a great lifespan. There might be an entire village where people are not living more than the age of 60 because their water is polluted, food is polluted, air is polluted. Everything is horrible. There is no proper facility, no healthcare, nothing. So, even the average lifespan of people, firstly, if instead of human you consider some other creature, it changes. Secondly, even for humans, when you change the location, it changes. Third, when you change the time period, if we go back in time into recent history, we will see that human beings had a shorter lifespan than today. But if we are to go by scriptures, humans had a much longer lifespan. Can I go and question that based on today's understanding? Suppose it says Rama ruled for 11,000 years. He obviously had a lifespan of more than 11,000 years. If it says that he ruled for 11,000 years, before he ruled, there were some years, obviously. Now, can I say that today I do not see people living that much? Therefore, I will not believe that he did not live that long. No, there, If I want to say so, then I am making an inherent assumption that whatever is applicable today was also applicable in that time. So I need something to attest that whatever is applicable today was also applicable in that time. If that attestation does not come, it means what I am doing is fancying. Why? Because science is very clear. Whatever you say should have a basis. So, conditions that are favorable on Earth, they need not be favorable on Mars. The air quality that I have today here is much worse than the air quality that would have been in the same place 200 years ago. Can I calculate about lung diseases, asthma, and so on about 200 years ago in the past by using present data? No, I cannot. That would be a stupid thing to do. So we should find out where things are applicable, where things are not applicable. For that, we need attestation of applicability. Where there is attestation of applicability, the pratyaksha jnana is useful to be operated upon by using anumana. Logical reasoning can work on pratyaksha when that pratyaksha jnana has applicability. Now, given this applicability or given ambiguity, let us say we do not know whether it is applicable or not. Let us say we do not know whether it is applicable or not. What do we do then? Can we say, for this sake, let us assume, for that sake, let us assume? We can here and there, for arguing cases, assume, but we will have to take a stand. Should we take a stand? There is no need. Anumana is usually applied by us outside the field of bhakti. There is a lot of talk about how bhakti is blind faith and how it has nothing to do with logical reasoning. Bhagavad Ramanuja has established that applying all the logical reasoning appropriately into the scriptures will lead you to bhakti only. The ultimate message conveyed by the scriptures will be bhakti only. You apply all the logical reasoning things in the world. What you will arrive at in the scripture will be bhakti. You apply all the logical reasoning to other things outside of scripture. You might get things that do not last forever. Bhakti leads you to mukti, where you have an eternal state of infinite auspiciousness. You can never enter a state of infinite auspiciousness that would be lasting for eternity. It was an impossibility if you are applying logical reasoning outside of it. But now a question comes. Is bhakti totally independent of logical reasoning? Let us try to understand. Bhakti is an emotion, it is a feeling, it is an experience. Experience does not necessarily need logical reason. If something pricks me, then something pricks me. If it pains, then it pains. Why does it pain? Whether or not I think about it doesn't matter. Let us say I'm traveling on a bicycle. Whether or not I know how the cycle is moving, oh, there is translational motion, there is rotational motion, the tires are of this radii, Because of that, they cover so much distance in so much time. When such a force is applied by me on the pedal, the pedal is creating a circle of this much. It is connected to a chain of this length, and therefore uh, this much force translates into this much energy, and so on. If I start thinking about all of that, most probably I will meet with an accident and fall down. I cannot think so much. But do I need all of that logical reasoning while riding a bicycle? I don't need that. In the same way, we are saying that, look, it is not wrong to ignore logical reasoning while cycling. You need only what you need. You need to know how to balance. You need to be look forward. You need to know how to ride and be safe and reach the destination. That is what matters. And therefore, in the same way, we say that in the case of Anumana as well, doing all the extra logical reasoning is not going to help. You use Anumana where it is necessary. Okay, where is it necessary? You use it to understand the scripture so that you would be guided further. That is it. So, Anumana should be used to understand the scripture, not to pass judgments on the scripture, but to understand the scripture, to understand the teaching, to understand what we can do with it to better ourselves and fulfill the purpose of life. That is a very important thing. So suppose I apply Anumana in a way that goes against Shabda. Suppose I do it. Suppose I apply Anumana that goes against, let us say, Mahabharata. Would it be fair? Well, people can do it if they want to, but that is not what we permit. We say whatever is there is divine. It comes from a divine authority. We are not divine. So no matter how much we reason, we might not be able to get that kind of a clarity. We might not be able to get that kind of an understanding. And therefore, whatever is coming from a divine authority, to understand what it is saying, we can apply logical reasoning. But we cannot use our limited logical reasoning, which is based on our limited understanding of the world, which is based on our limited experiences in the last few hundreds or thousands of years, to interpret or pass judgments on scripture and question the divine authority. So the divine authority is a place where Anumana cannot operate. Anumana can explain the divine authority, but Anumana cannot question the divine authority. That should be understood by us. With that, I would like to conclude today's session. If there is any question, please feel free to ask.
No, it was very nice. Coming to the last portion of understanding,
Yes.
See, the different commentaries give in different ways, you know. See, for example, personally for me, it is very difficult to understand Aurobindo. But some other guru I can easily understand. But so is it okay to read what we can understand?
See, that is what Anumana can be used to understand the divine authority. It cannot be used to question the divine authority. That is what we are saying.
No, that is clear. But which one to choose, I am asking now.
That
because each commentary is different. Taking
which
Gita
one
as an
to choose
example.
based on you pray to Bhagavan to help you, to guide you. Whichever one you are able to understand, you go ahead with it. As long as there is
Okay,
spiritual progress, you
okay.
be happy.
Thank
See,
you. Right. Okay.
the purpose is spiritual progress. Okay. There
Okay.
are many
But
different
I
ways
like the
to understand the
100
same
steps. Very
concept.
nice. I'll never forget 1 step and 100 steps.
Exactly. 1 step or 100 steps, you are taking the step that is
Beautiful.
today you take one step, tomorrow you don't know the next step you take might be so big that you are covering 100 steps worth length.
Yes,
That might happen tomorrow. The
that's right.
aim
Right.
should always be to go forward. And
Correct,
for
correct.
that, whatever is helpful, we take. See, there are many different ways to learn Vishishtadvaitha also. Today's lecture was initially focused on bhakti and then I went into the logical side. Okay. Suppose you try to learn it from the fully logical side, or suppose you learn it from the fully technical side, it might not help you at all. But if you learn it from the side of bhakti, even without any logical reasoning, I spoke so much logic. Even if you ignore all the logic, you just do that Bhaja Govindam part, you do Sharanagati to Krishna, Mamekam Sharanam Raja, then also you will get the benefit. Whichever works, as long as it works, it is good. But if there is a person who thinks, why should I surrender? Then you have to answer that person. For that purpose, for explaining why the scripture says to do this, there we will use Anumana. So it depends from person to person. For a bhakta who does not question, I'm not interested in questioning the scripture. I just want to follow the scripture. That kind of a bhakta, that kind of a bhakta just needs to directly follow the path. But the bhakta who is not at that level, a bhakta who is uh, not fully mature, or maybe a bhakta is mature, but he is genuinely curious to know. And he wants to experience the beauties of scripture, experience Bhagavan by experiencing the beauties of scripture. For such a person, even complicated teachings, all of them might give a kind of a feeling of devotion, a feeling of spiritual advancement, and so on. So that depends from person to person. We are nobody to judge.
Thank you.
So if there's any other question, feel free to ask. We'll cover about the scope of Shabda in the next class. Because when we are talking about bhakti, we should understand where it is applicable. When we say bhakti, oh, you listen, you keep thinking. So what do they say? Some people say this is a kind of mental conditioning. The psychologists, psychiatrists, whoever they are, they will say this is just mental conditioning. But this is something beyond mental conditioning. We are trying to say that it is not just about physical and mental, but also about spiritual advancement. So yes, it is mental conditioning, but there is a reason why we do it, and there is a way to do it. So the way and the reason, when both are aligned, the result will be perfect. So with that, I would like to conclude today's session. If there is any more question, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we can end here. Thank you so much for attending.